All right, we are discussing relational database management systems, and just as a brief reminder, what is the goal? The goal here is, and as it is the name of the class, Business Analytics with Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Access, we are introducing the fundamentals of business analytics and business intelligence. In this year Magic Quadrant by Gartner, Microsoft, and this is Microsoft product Power BI, is moving more and more upward as a leader in business intelligence platforms. And Microsoft BI, which is topic of other class, CS 240, CS 301, that we'll discuss, we'll study later on, requires a good knowledge in spreadsheets and data tables or databases. And because of this, we are learning in this class Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Access. Probably Microsoft Access will be replaced by Microsoft Azure soon, but nobody knows. Everything changes in this area, and it's too early to speak about something which is yet not proven to be effective as it expected to be. So we continue speaking about Microsoft Access, which is one of the most frequently used and the best representative of the so-called relational database management systems, which purpose is to manage all resources, including data, hardware, and software, and provide access to customers using these systems to all of these resources. And the idea in relational database systems is to create, to design and develop small but work that are easy to manage and to maintain data tables, which after that to connect with the help of relationships. And we already learned how to create relationships and use after that these small tables as one huge big data table. Second, we also learned last time some advantages of having data table related. For example, when we created different objects like forms, here, example of Microsoft Access form, we found that if we create a general form for the leading data table in all relationships, then we can see all other forms, meaning all other data table forms, are also presented. And here I will open this form just to remind you. We can see the general, the leading data table form. Then in a second window, we can see the first target, or as we know, two data table. Too many data tables is the name of the relationship. And also if we expand this data form, we can see the next. And if there are more forms, we will see them in each of the next windows under the plus sign. Very, very useful option when we want to manage all data in one data form. Plus, when we open, excuse me, when we open the data table in datasheet view, we can see next to or before in front of each record the plus sign, which also help us and provide opportunity to expand the sub-forms, that is the related data tables, like contracts and invoices. All right. After developing relationships and creating some simple objects, when we learn the different objects in Microsoft Access, and also to prove how important and useful the relationships are, we started working on the most important part, which are the queries. That is simply an answer to a question that could be considered both as a report and or advanced filter, as we did in Microsoft Excel. And we created a few different queries based on different questions of interest. Okay, here it is an example, a window about a query, and we'll learn in these queries how to sort, how to apply filters, how to use filters in selection, or how to sort permanently using the design grid in the query design form. That is, we started learning how to develop queries in the professional way. When going to Microsoft Access, this is under Create and Query Design option. Today, we continue our work introducing more advanced and complex options when developing queries and adding operators for comparisons. We already learned how to create a query and use the exact match criteria or logical condition. And then we also learn how to develop a query that represents a logical operator AND. For this purpose, we created a query customers with large contracts in June, and we entered both criteria at the same row, the row named criteria in design grid. And this is the idea, similar to Microsoft Excel advanced filters, when developing queries that use selection criteria in the design grid. If we want to develop a query to answer questions based on logical operators AND, we'll put both conditions at the same row. But we may need sometimes to create a query that will answer question to or any. If we want to create a construction, as it was in chapter 4, this will be any of these conditions satisfied. For this purpose, we enter the conditions in criteria row and or row in design grid. All right, now before we start, I want to, just as practicing, also to learn something new. We already learned how to copy, paste, and delete data tables and other objects. Today, we'll start our work by renaming an existing query. This is the query customers with large contracts in June. Why do I need or want to change the name of this query? Because, as you can see, it represents the case with the logical operator AND. And I want by the name the users to be immediately to recognize that this is a query that use multiple selection criteria based on the logical operator AND. For this purpose, we select the query, we right click, and you select from the drop-down menu rename. What is the new name that I want? Okay, the new name is just to end between contracts and in. I will use capital letters to recognize easier that this is a query that contains logical operator AND. So the new name will be customers with large contracts and in June. Okay, we are ready. We also created another similar worksheet that, data query, which also use AND criteria, but the name was customers with large contract and June, after June. Okay, so we can also rename it, right click, rename, and insert between contract and after. We also enter here end and after June. All right, today we continue and we'll create a new query, but now that will use the OR logical criteria, logical operator. For this purpose, let's first clarify what do we have and what kind of OR criteria we can use. All right, so it will be, let's say, a city of Holland. I like it. And we'll make it even more complex. Or unpaid invoices. Wow. Okay, for this purpose, we'll first close everything. Program can and allows to open many objects simultaneously, but sometimes they overlap and may cause some issues. That's why we better to close everything. And we go to database tools, create, and here in query design, in queries group, we open a new query design window. Which table we want? We will use customer table. Then we'll use contract table, as a matter of fact, all three of them, and invoices. Okay, then I will close all other menus so I can use the full size of my window and verify also that my relations are still available and not damaged. Okay, so we start creating a new query that will contain customers from the city of Holland and unpaid invoices. Okay, so first we select company from customer. This is what we need. And city. Customer and city from customer data table. Then from contracts, we select contract type. Then from and contract amount. Then from invoices, we select item, amount, and paid. So to repeat, from customer, we select customer, company, and city. From contract data table, contract type, and contract amount. And from invoices data table, we select item, amount, and paid, invoice paid. If we run this query, you can see that it shows companies in all cities with all contracts, their amount, different invoice items and their amounts, and whether invoice is paid or not. All right. Now, we start and we said that first criteria we want to be from the city of Holland. In city at criteria row, we will enter Holland. Not necessary to enter equals Holland. We just enter Holland and run. Let's run immediately the query. As you can see, only customers from the city of Holland presented. Now, next was or unpaid invoices. Unpaid invoices. Invoices, let me just open something to show you. When we open invoice data table and then go to design view, we'll see that paid field or column is data type yes or no, or binary digit. Okay, that means here in or row, we can enter either no, and because it's logical no, we enter like this, and immediately we can run. Oops, same query and run, and we see how it's kind of it's a mixture, right? Okay, then because of this, we'll change the city to something smaller. I mean smaller city, which has smaller number of customers. Something very, very small. What about Rockford? Rockford, let's verify. Meaning, in design view, we will change Holland with Rockford. Can you see how easy it is to change a criteria? And then we can run. And we can sort by invoices, or let's sort better by city. And we can sort these, can sort it in design view to keep it in a permanent here, sort by city. Ascending, descending, doesn't matter. It's important that we'll have all Rockford city companies in the same. Okay, can you see? From Rockford, we can have paid, unpaid invoices, and only unpaid invoices from all other cities. All right, we can close and save this query now with the name customers from Rockford or we'll use capital letters, or we with unpaid invoices. Okay, now when we run, we see exactly this case. Either unpaid invoice or from the city of Rockford. Okay, this gives me something, a new idea. Because of the specific case and content, we'll create now a special query. For this purpose, we can use customers from Rockford or with unpaid invoices just to practice copy paste. So we select customers from Rockford, we copy, then we right click in the blank space of the navigation pane and we select paste. Here we will use the name customers with large unpaid invoices. Okay. And we open customers with large unpaid invoices. Right now, go to design view. It's absolutely the same as customers from Rockford. That's why we will erase Rockford. Then in contract amount, we'll enter, as we did last time, greater than 50,000. Large amount. And for paid invoices, when we said that we can use everything, either no or zero, because it's a binary digit, or unchecked. Can we use here 0? No, because it will be not recognized as a value. But we can say different than yes. Yes is a logical value. Let's see. Yep. Different than yes. It's the same as no, right? But here we can see how to use not equal, that is different than. Okay, what did we see here? Large invoices, large unpaid invoices. Well, if we return to be more precise, it should be not contract amount, but invoice unpaid, that is a large amount. Okay, so let's erase this, and amount of invoice, let's say greater than 10,000, because one invoice is not as big as the full contract. Now there are more. And we can also sort here descending by their amount. Descending. All right. Here we can enter totals, and the totals can count how many unpaid invoices, large invoices, 38. What is the total unpaid amount? And so forth and so forth. But I have another question. If our goal is to display only unpaid invoices, do we need to display the field paid? Apparently not, but we still need it because it's one of our selection criteria. Can we use it and not display it? The answer is yes. If we use the show row in design grid and uncheck paid, When we run now, we see only the large unpaid invoices. All right, one can say, and why do we need the contract amount? Well, maybe we need to compare how much is unpaid. Wait a second. This could be a reason for another query, but right now, let's say, yes, we don't need it. Simply, we select contract amount, and delete key. That's it. No more contract amount. Okay, why do we need contract type? Well, to know the whole project and what is unpaid. So that's good. Company, city, that's fine. Now, suppose that we don't want to see all, there are too many. Suppose that we want to see, let's say, the top 10 unpaid invoices. Can we do this? Can we show only top? Meaning from the filter here to show, apparently there is no criteria filter here to select only top. But if we go to design view and here select amount, this is the field we want to use to display only the top unpaid large invoices. And in the design menu, query setup, we can see, mark my mouse here, an option return. By default, it is all, but I'll change it to any number or percent. If it's not presented, we'll just type it. I'll type 10. I want the top 10 only. And I will run. How many? Exactly 10. And their total amount. So we are good. We just made it. And we can close and save this query. Now, speaking about difference between paid, unpaid amounts, can we create a query that will show the difference between paid, unpaid, or between total and unpaid? Well, we can create, but invoice by invoice. It's very difficult to create such a query in general, though we can create single queries for each company with unpaid invoices. One general query will be too much complicated, but let's see first. Let's start with, again, we go to create query design. From here, we'll select tables. Now, customer and invoices only. Oh no, we need contract for there. Okay, contract and invoices. Why do we need? Because we have to calculate the difference between the contract amount and unpaid amount. Okay, so again, we select company. We don't even need city this time. Contract type and contract amount. Then item, amount, and paid. So customer from customer data table, contract type and contract amount from contract, and item amount paid from invoices. When we run the query, now we can see all customers with their contract and their invoices paid and unpaid. Okay, first filter is to add only unpaid, meaning here only no for paid. Now we see only unpaid invoices. Very good. We continue. Now we want to see how much remains when a certain invoice was paid. For this purpose, as we mentioned, when looking at data tables design, that we can create a new calculated field. The calculated field, we select here the first blank field in the query design, and from the menu, design menu on the ribbon, we select builder, expression builder. This is the window in Microsoft Access when we can create formulas. Simple, and as we'll see next time, more complicated. All right, for this purpose, first of all, it is very useful to save our query. Why? I'll show you why. For example, here, can you see this window is blank? Let's save. I will use save as to verify. Sometimes, as I told you, same as doesn't work properly. But let's try file, save as, save object as, and we'll give it a name. Unpaid amount from contracts. Meaning here we'll show the unpaid amount for each contract based on each invoice. This time it works. Okay, and now we continue. We position in the first blank empty field. We go to expression builder. And can you see now this window was populated and exactly with the names of the fields in the current query. So if I want to calculate the difference between contract amount and amount for unpaid invoices, I simply will use, no need to start with equal sign. I will simply use contract amount. I click twice and it goes to the expression builder window. Then, what is the operator? It's minus contract amount minus unpaid invoice amount. Contract amount minus amount. Is it this only for unpaid? Yes, because we already selected unpaid invoices only. Okay, we continue with OK. We run, and we can see here a new field with the name expression. Wait a second, this is not good name, so we return and continue by formatting the new field. That is, first thing, when we select and right click on the field name, we can see here properties. These properties here allow us to select currency format, decimal places, auto or to, because it's currency. And one very, very useful option is using caption. Caption means to keep the original field name when necessary to work with the field, but to change it and display it every time with the new name we want. Okay, we'll do it with something else. What I'll show you in a second, but here we'll change the name in a different way. So this different way is, if we go to the field name itself, you see that between expression 1, the name, and the formula, the equation, there is separator, 2 dots, col. And this is the separator which we must keep unchanged, not to delete. And we give a name, unpaid amount. Okay, when we run now, you see unpaid, and we'll increase unpaid amount. Aha. Okay, now we return, and what I just saw was that we didn't uncheck paid invoices. That is, now we will not see them. We'll just see the amounts paid, unpaid. Now, if we want to be also to be more logical, probably it's a good idea to change the place of item and contract amount. So we'll see the contract amount, the invoice amount, and unpaid amount. How do I know that this is invoice amount? It says just amount. All right. Now we can go to amount field, and here in caption we'll enter invoice amount. Why? So we can clarify that this amount, this is contract amount, and then we have invoice amount. Also, I just realized that it's good to sort descending, let's say, by contract amount, starting from the largest. Excuse me. And in this way, we can see here contract amount sorted descending, then the amount of the invoice, unpaid invoice, and then the remaining unpaid amount. Now, if we want to see what is the final, the last unpaid amount, will be a little bit difficult here. Why? Because can you see, we have many customers with one contract and different invoices, meaning for the, let's say, for the Walker Investment Company, we need to have the total invoice, unpaid invoice amount, and then we can find out the sum. Or maybe just the total of the unpaid amount. Well, this is not correct because every time it will be too big, meaning we must every time subtract the unpaid until we find the final one. Can we create such a query? The answer is yes, we'll create it, but next time, because it will be slightly more advanced and complex, today we'll continue with our unpaid invoices, and we'll close this query, save. By the way, I just realized that there is a spelling mistake in my name, so I'll rename it amount 1M, unpaid amount from contract. Okay, What else we can do with unpaid invoices? Well, as you know, when you have a contract or loan from the bank and you don't pay on time, there will be interest or charges, fees calculated. Okay, so we'll create now a query to compute such interest or unpaid invoice fees. All right, can we use the last query? Well, yes. Let's right click, copy unpaid amount from contract, then right click in the blank and select paste and give it a name. Fees for unpaid amounts. Okay, fees for unpaid amounts. And we can go to design view and verify. What do we need here? All right, we need company, that's fine. Contract, it's fine. Invoice, it's fine. Contract amount, yes. Invoice amount, yes. Paid, yes, we said. But unpaid amount, okay. This is the difference between the unpaid invoice. Wait a second, it's not exactly the unpaid amount. This is the difference between contract amount and unpaid. All right, so let's open unpaid amount from contract and change the name. This is not exactly unpaid amount. This is paid amount, right? Because contract amount minus unpaid amount is exactly paid amount. Okay, and when we run, so this is what is paid. Yes, this is after this is paid. How to make it unpaid? Well, we'll see right now. But before that, let's close this contract query and change the name, change the name to paid amounts from contract. Okay, it was a little messy, but I hope that finally it is clear. The contract amount minus unpaid. Oh, probably we have to change and make this name also better. So invoice amount we call invoice amount. This will call unpaid. Invoice unpaid amount. And now the difference between total contract amount and unpaid amount is the paid amount or the remaining amount. That's why I told you if we want to find out more precisely what is the total paid, unpaid, we must create a special worksheet. I mean data query. How we'll do this next time. Okay, so we can close this one, save it, and continue with the fees. All right, we said that this we don't need anymore because here our goal is to compute fees. Okay. Now, do we need contract amounts from contract worksheet? Nope. Do we need contract type? Nope. We just need customer, invoice, unpaid, invoice amount, or these are invoice amounts, but we will use them only for unpaid. And now, if we run, we see, yes, company item invoice amount. Wait a second. It means that we don't need any more contract table, right? What to do? Just press delete key. It's not there. Wow, but there is no relation now between these two. Can we still use them together if the so-called mediator, the intermediate table, is not presented? Well, logically, we should, but let's verify practically. When we run, we see, oh, wow. Different things. Okay, maybe we still need how to show and select again contract table. Just right click in the window, somewhere in the space, select show table, and from tables, select contract, and then close. Let's run now again. Now the amounts are different, meaning that for the sake of the relationships, we must keep all related tables in the full chain presented, otherwise the link will be broken. So remember this. What if we don't want to keep contract? Well, then we must create a relation between customer and invoices, direct relation. For this purpose, we will need common field. Such common field does not exist right now, which will make much more difficult this task. That's why we will use this, I don't know whether slower or more complicated approach, but it looks to be very easy. And let's very quickly, in the remaining few minutes, let's select the new blank worksheet field, and from here we click and open again the expression builder. Now this expression builder must calculate, let's say, 3% unpaid, 3% of the unpaid invoice as a fee. Okay, what is this amount? Well, for this purpose, first we must save the query, or better, close it and open it again in design view. Why? Because you will see now the program will remove some of the fields after updating the query that are not anymore in this table, this query table. All right, now we want to calculate a field, which will be the unpaid amount. Unpaid amount times 0.05. Oh, sorry, 3.03%. This will return, okay, if we run 3% of the unpaid amount. And again, we can change the name here. Be very careful. Erase everything in front of the two dots, the column, and enter here fee. And when we run, we'll see now fee. It is by default currency because we use currency in our calculations. The only thing we can do is probably to sort descending by unpaid fees. Sort descending. And here we see the unpaid fees. And we can add a row to calculate the total of unpaid fees. We can calculate also, we can count the number of unpaid fees, 98 unpaid fees. And as we started speaking about more detailed analysis, probably now is the time just to introduce, next time we'll continue, just to introduce what approach and how we can calculate these further analysis. This 98 that you can see here is something wrong, it's a mistake. Let's rerun. Oh, can you see? It's happened because when I edit total and the program shows this total here and there. So how to analyze in more details, let's say fees, average fees, minimum, maximum fees, total fees in one query, and then by company. Is this exactly what we said that we need to know, let's say, about the total unpaid amount? Well, yeah, that means that we can create for anything we want further statistical analysis. And for this purpose, next time we'll use totals, but in design view, which will open a new row, totals, here in the design grid. But this we'll discuss next time. Right now, we'll save, close, save the fees for unpaid amounts. Then from File menu, Info, we will compact and repair the database. And then we can exit Microsoft Access and close the program. And we will empty the clipboard. This is the end of today's presentation.